All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 30-minute webinar. My name is Dre Devots, a systems engineer here at Verify, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Today, we're going to be joined by my good friend, Matt Sykes, another systems engineer over here at Verify. How you doing, Matt?
Good, Dre. How are you, buddy?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. And for today's webinar, we're going to be showing you how to build those Zoom admin dashboards. We're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. We're going to jump into a live demo where Matt is going to guide us on how to build a Zoom admin dashboard. We'll pause for Q&A and get some of your questions answered during the demo. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the Q&A panel in the bottom right corner of the screen. After Q&A, we're going to reward one lucky attendee a $50 Amazon gift card, so hang around to see if you've won. Verify is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration, providing industry-leading customizable call manager UCCX Cube and now Zoom reporting analytics and dashboards, along with a suite of tools like remote phone control, change management, macros, and DID management. But for today, we're going to be focusing on how to build those Zoom admin dashboards. If you have any other questions on any of our other features, or if you have any interest in taking our Zoom analytics for free spin, hit me up in the chat or the Q&A panel, or get a hold of your account manager for more info on that. One more thing before we kick things off, Verify does offer a managed consulting service where Verify's SE team engages you with a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboarding, configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides you a dedicated Verify SE to do all the heavy lifting while giving you a completely hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us, and we'd be glad to speak more in depth about our Ninja Enhanced services. All right, we're going to go into the live demo. Matt, you should be able to grab the screen, share.
Yes, sir. And then Dre's confirmed me that you can see a dashboard.
I can confirm that.
Can confirm. Fantastic. All right. Well, hello and welcome, everyone. Matt Sykes here with Verify. And for today's workshop for this week, we're going to showcase on how to build a Zoom phone dashboard within Verify. So we're all looking at one of my additional pretty graphical looking colorful dashboards here. So we're going to kind of go through all of this over the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to shoot those into the Q&A or chat panel so that Dre can go ahead and we can address those towards the end of this session. Okay, so with all that being said, now Zoom Phone is definitely one of the newer platforms that Verify now supports, but it falls into all of our molds that we've had for quite some time. So all of our dashboard and widget options, as well as reportings and stuff like that, are certainly there for this newer platform within Verify. So constraining, I guess, suppose for today's session on dashboards and specifically for kind of admin kind of functionality or statistical values that may be of importance. So I threw about, I don't know, about 20 or so widgets on this dashboard over the previous couple of days just to showcase for this session. But these would be kind of some of the things that I would kind of drive on within an environment. Now, if I'm brand new to an environment, or if I'm helping build out a system or demonstrating something off of an existing system for somebody, some of the things that would definitely just jump off the top of my mind would be, from an administrative perspective, would be how much phone traffic are we currently sustaining over a certain time frame off of this system, over the current month, or whether it's by the current previous week, but just kind of a list out of exactly what the content looks like for a production environment. Now, in this example here, this is definitely a call volume by time period widget here. Definitely can build this out many different ways as well. This is capturing all data as well. So just to briefly show you before I kind of show you some of the behind the curtain stuff here. So in this example here, I'm keying off of, let me zoom in for your eyes, I'm keying off of a search filter or a search set that's bidirectional for caller or called information, starting with one character or better. I'm definitely able to facilitate that off of the conditional operator pick list here, and use starts with and a single character wildcard of a capital X. These two paired together will be one character or better, which should be darn near everything over said time frame, which in this example is current previous week. So that's definitely something that we can do. We can easily slice this data by a handful of different x-axis time options for the x-axis of this bar chart. So if I want to be very granular by quarter hour of day, cumulatively over a lengthier time frame, or all the way out to month over month or week over week, I certainly have those options at my disposal as well. Now, let's also kind of evaluate something very briefly here. So before we kind of get into all of this, certainly, yes, we can build out top departments, top sites, um, more administrative functionality like international calls and 911 calls that are being used within the environment, in addition to maybe robo dialers that are calling into the environment most frequently, or keying off of the call queues in Zoom, or looking at MOS score or abandonment rates and who the abandoned calls are falling on. One thing I always like to do, and even if I'm brand new to an environment and I don't know much about anything of their phone system, what we definitely have is we can use to complement and help you kind of build this out. Not to say that Verify support wouldn't assist with this, but definitely on your own. Definitely the analytics reporting module is going to be paramount of importance, I believe. Now, regardless if this is Zoom Phone or Cisco or one of our other platforms that we're supporting, this history section is very, very beneficial. I reference to it as a sandbox because I feel that, let me just tree this out here. I feel that all these all these filters that I have at my disposal are very easy to build out in a quick search option here with a time window as well. So for instance, color number, which is the default value here in the section, in the history section that is, starts with 1 character or better, pretty much bring me back everything for that time frame, which the default is current day. So I can look at these 743 calls. Now, I don't necessarily need to listen to their voice recordings, although you can play and download those as well. But from this history section, you can see all the ins and outs of your data. So all the inbound traffic, all the outbound traffic, the internal traffic as well, extension number, directory numbers, or party names, device types, the external numbers that are not on your phone system as well. So i.e. the external numbers that the organization is partaking in those calls, whether they're, once again, outbounds, inbounds, et cetera. So we're laying all that out there, but also from the Zoom data set as well. Now with Verify, as you probably are aware of, we definitely have quite a lengthy list of options and columns and bells and whistles, levers and knobs that we can turn on at a moment's notice. Now here's kind of one of those cases. So I'm going to maybe actually throw in here from these kind of directional based kind of fields here. I'm going to key on caller, site, and department and grab the corresponding for terminating just so I can see both sides of the call. I'm going to put the callers with the callers and the calls with the calls, excuse me. There we go. And then myself, I like to use direction as kind of the 50-yard line here to separate the two from callers and calls. Excuse me, there we are. So what we can do, even just from kind of jumping in here, throwing a very wide open kind of plain filter here of starts with 1 character or better for the current day time frame, we can peruse these records pretty easily, or you can as well. So you can see exactly the department reference and the site reference off of these users from the Zoom phone system as well. So as an example here, now we see that Corey Gamble is in the Birmingham site. He's in the IT department. We could very easily use these down the line as additional filters for dashboards, for reports as well. So that's what's very powerful about this history section. Obviously, not to say the least that we can also export reports right from here as well. But yeah, definitely you can see everything. So from the outbound variety, we're going to see exactly what the internal caller, that's all their information before calling out. Not going to obviously have all the pertinent information for their org information because this number does not reside inside your Zoom platform or within this Zoom platform. Now, the converse on the inbound side of the house, not going to know the callers or the originators. We're just going to have the digits dialed, but definitely once it's connected to somebody or presented to somebody in the Zoom phone environment, we're going to see all the corresponding information for that DN, that extension number, the name, the username, the org references for site and department as well. So these are very powerful to kind of jump back and forth between this analytics history section when you're building out a dashboard like this. Now, of course, I went and ruined my resolution, but very easy when you're kind of building these out. So if we need to identify something in shipping, or if, for instance, if some of these stats kind of jump off the page at you and you need to identify them pretty swiftly and see, is that really true? You can certainly do that and replicate any filters within Verify, or back and forth, use this history section analytics to help cultivate the content that you need for the filters for the dashboard widgets to list out for yourself or from other supervisors or managers within the environment that may be needing to see this content, this pertinent information, excuse me. So definitely things I build out are going to be high level call volume. Then I also will build out for the orgs, if you will. So I'm going to key off of top sites and top departments. Very easy to build these out as well. I think I can walk us through this just to showcase how simplistic this is. So within this widget style here, now we do have 6 different widget styles. There'll be call distribution, which is going to be a donut chart. There's call history details, which will be a table grid with specific detail columns for content that you want to see. We'll get to those. Call statistics, which are a single row line item widget, which can have multiple metrics in them, but can be tailored to each to whatever content that you need, whether it's inbound traffic, departmental traffic, shared devices, called queues, etc. We're going to see all of that. Call volume by time period are these bar charts in the background here that we saw. We can slice them by different time units. And there's going to be the utilization concurrency, which I have one down here. What this will showcase for us and how I'm going to build it is going to be bi-directional traffic over a specific entity. Now, whether that's system-wide that I have in my example in the background, or if it's very intricate on certain devices that are servicing the inbound and outbound traffic from the environment. So we can very easily identify what are the peak kind of concurrency call measures that are happening throughout the time frame, over relative time frame as well. So in this example here, keying off of top departments, what I did in this kind of grouping statistic widget that's in the background that showed, I think, shipping as number 1. But what I simplistically did was to build off of the search set or the search filters, I used a combination. Let me zoom in for your eyes. I used a combination. So I used caller or called number, used the starts with 1 character or greater, which once again should be darn near everything. But in the configuration, we have grouping turned on, the grouping statistic widget type. So there is going to be a primary grouper. This grouper I have built out to be, bi-directional. So it's originating or terminating based off of the department. Now I have relabeled this with a custom label set, but we're going to get into that in a little bit later. But that's why it says department or user as opposed to caller or called department name. So we're using bi-directional on department. So very easy. And I'm telling it to also list off for me the top 10. So the top 10, and I've just told it to ask to give me the total calls, inbound and outbounds. Got labels on those as well. We'll go into those. Over what time frame? Current and previous week. It's definitely kind of one of my go-tos. These are day of the week exclusions, and certainly you can fluctuate and include or exclude certain hours of the day if need be. I'm just going to cancel that. Sort my resolution here, and then very easily. So I used an originate caller or called number starts with 1 character or better, and then group it by the departments. List me out the top 10 departments. Here we go. Shipping, executive finance. So we can see very easy, a quick leaderboard kind of table here. We can do that. We can also kind of showcase the same kind of organizational structure, if you will. In this example, I use sites. So just a different kind of org lever that we have. But once again, this should be bi-directional as well. Top 10 here as well. So we can certainly see in this donut chart and illuminate exactly the total call count for that entity for that time frame as well, this current previous week time frame. So something that's definitely nice to have. This one is the exact replica of this one, so we can see the shipping is number 1 here. So this is where this guy lives as well. So as always, you can certainly build your dashboard widgets and lay them out and customize your dashboard to your heart's content. They can be as short and sweet or as heavy and loaded as mine are, or a nice happy medium in between. The nice thing with the Zoom data set, it also has a direction lever, if you will, in its data set. So we can very easily see directions of calls or even use those as additional filters on subsequent filters that you already have embedded for other reports or dashboard widgets, for instance. So if I want to build just, if this environment I'm showcasing right now was only really strictly handling inbound traffic from an environment, and I didn't care about the internals or the outbounds, certainly I could curtail these results here in these other widgets to be inbound based only, for instance. Very easy to go ahead and turn that on. And let me just go over that because I do have a lot more to cover and running out of time. But just as an example, so if we wanted to key off of direction once again, so here's signaling, zoom in for your eyes. From the signaling section will be a direction filter, and there's the 3 direction types. So your inbound, internal, or outbound. So very easy to go ahead and piggyback one of those off of existing content if you want to filter or funnel down some results for, once again, pertinent content for the managers that need to see that stuff. Okay, another thing I like to do, I lost 911, here we are. Everything went sideways. It sure did. Too much resolution. Okay, some of the things I like to build out. So yeah, we definitely have access to the org components. So whether those are departments, those are sites, those are locations, we definitely have to and from all of those and those combinations. Also, I like to pick one off the top of the list when I kind of find kind of a top entity, whether it's a site or a department or a location, and it's going to build out and identify exactly, what are the trends looking like. Now, this is not production data here, but certainly broken down by week over week for a current and previous month for this shipping department, for instance. That previous 30 days doesn't hold true, but the x-axis slice does. So week over week, we can certainly see what the kind of the call trends are like for the shipping department, whether it's inbound or outbound or a combination of both. So we can easily build that stuff out. Definitely for administrators for Zoom content, international calls or 911 calls are definitely ones I always build. These are call statistic style summary widgets here that we have. So they are kind of single row line item widgets. Now these are 0 at the moment, but you can embed or bake into here additional metrics that you see that are beneficial for whomever is viewing this. They can be single-tiled like you see here. You can kind of manually scroll over to the additionals if you need to, or just widen it out if you need to see it all in one shot. So there's definitely plenty of options there. And then off of that, I always piggyback stuff off of 911. So I have another board here just to showcase to you with similar kind of build out that I normally do. So call volume by time period, top departments, top sites, pick on the top, and then kind of chase it down the rabbit hole. So similar to that last board. But for the 911 stuff, like I made mention, so if I see that, certainly we can build that out. Okay, so for the previous rolling 30 days, 2 emergency calls to 911. Okay, what days did they happen on? Build out a call volume by time period chart for that. And then maybe I want to build out a grouping statistic style widget then to showcase exactly who are the callers that are actually placing those calls out to 911. And then we can easily capture their summarization or the detailed nature of those calls if need be. So definitely we can build things once we kind of identify some things within an environment. All right. Another thing I definitely like to build, let me move this out of the way, is definitely a widget that's going to identify potential for robo-dialers. So I always call this a top inbound call dialer or robo-dialer widget, because what I'm doing here is I'm keying specifically off of inbound call traffic. So now in the Zoom data set, I'm keying actually in the filter of inbound for this one widget here as well. But for all the inbound content or traffic, for the previous 30 days, I want to know the external numbers that are calling with most frequency. So this should be kind of a top 10 leaderboard kind of widget here that's showcasing that this 665 area code number is calling into my Zoom environment 113 times over 30 days. Now, maybe this is some contracted partner that we have negotiations with, for instance, that should be calling, or it could be someone, once again, it could be kind of a pattern. It could be a robo dialer. It could be somebody with malicious intent trying to hack into your environment to get out. I mean, look at this one. This is definitely not a normal looking phone number, for instance. So definitely there's identification for us to be able to kind of showcase at very high levels to make you or administrators aware that these callers are calling with repeat frequency. So there's definitely report build outs for all of this content as well, but this content is pretty good for a good look-see for the managers or supervisors that are kind of responsible for governing all of the, I guess, the health, if you will, within the Zoom environment. Another thing that we can build out is going to be MOS score stuff. So another thing is going to be quality. So that is another filterable line item that Zoom is going to give us here. Let's pull this stuff over. So we can easily, once again, kind of chase the same example as 911 here, but in MOS score, they do provide a field for us that we're reading from their API. So let me just dive into that filter real briefly. So on this call volume by time period bar chart widget, I'm keying off a couple different orgs here, but here's the main crux or the main filter here. It's going to be my MOS score value. So the mean opinion score, normally the benchmark is 3.5 or greater is normal, I guess, quality on VoIP traffic, but definitely if it's less than 3.5, that's kind of raises an eyebrow. So definitely that's kind of the benchmark I'm leaning on here with this. So let's backpedal out of this. So I can easily identify when that is happening, on what users those are happening on, and if we needed to, what devices, let me shrink this up, what devices are having these bad MOS, maybe with repeat intervals that we're unaware of. For instance, this Windows client, for instance, maybe this one's obviously on its near of its end of its lifetime, for instance. But if we need to look at all the granular call data details, here's an example of a call history details data grid here. So for these now, of these 24 plus 6 others that are internal and inbound as well, we can look at actually the very granular call nature of these calls. We can see exactly the corresponding extension numbers that are participating, the users, their device types, their departments, the direction of call, the other side of the call if we need to see that. But also they have the MOS score at our disposal as well. So as I made mention, 3.5 kind of being the benchmark, if you will, that we can very easily see which devices, unfortunately, or calls actually had pretty poor MOS score, let's say. So whether or not this is something device related, the administrator can certainly take a look at, but definitely Verify gives you that option to go ahead and list this out pretty easily for an administrator within a dashboard of this magnitude. Okay. Let's see what else do I have here. Call queues are huge too. So call queues just to see if what the traffic is looking like for certain call queues or for all the call queues that are servicing an environment. How many calls are being queued? What is the abandonment level, for instance? Is there a high abandonment percentage that we're seeing on the calls that are coming to these top 5, for instance? Do we need to go top 10, top 20, or a top 50? Certainly we can do that in the donut chart or kind of a leaderboard kind of grouping widget here that we have options to. So definitely easy to keep yourselves abreast on this content. But then as well as abandoned call counts, I guess I'll wrap with that real briefly here. Abandoned calls. So just like our other platforms that we support, there's definitely reporting on abandoned calls. Now, Zoom going to be a little different. Zoom actually, we're going to look at it from both sides or both directions of calls, so inbound and outbound calls, I guess internal as well. But primarily also the outbounds. In this example here, unfortunately, I've got most of them are of the outbound variety. But what Verify is going to be doing, per the guidance from Zoom themselves, is going to be specific fields here that we see for caller result. For the result. So caller or called result. Where we see the code of call cancel, we're going to and a zero duration, of course, which all these calls are. Zero duration and one of these results being call cancel is going to deem this call being flagged as an abandoned call within Verify. So very easy to go ahead and build that out, whether it's the high summary level, where, for instance, if I want to see who are my top abandoned call users, whether it's inbound or outbound. Oh, I didn't filter him out. Excuse this guy. But for as far as Everett and Lucille and Shay, et cetera, we can certainly see who are the users that are unfortunately falling into the abandonment kind of routines most frequently. They're definitely part of this list out here. And if we needed to drill into them or dig into them at the granular level, certainly we've got all the fields that we need here, in addition to having quite a few others as well as having showcased here at this exact moment. But definitely a lot of good stuff that can be built out here. As always, the dashboards you don't need to cram everything on one dashboard. You can certainly have, you can have as many dashboards as you like. They can contain multiple platform styles. So we're definitely not siloing this. Our dashboards are platform independent. So I can certainly have, call manager, cube and stuff like that on the same dashboard as some Zoom phone stuff. Certainly can do that. I think I've got an example maybe over here. Where did it go? There she blows. Here's an example of a multi-platform board that I have. Now, this one's running off a permalink from one of my other labs, but column A is pretty much call manager, CUCM. Column B is contact center express. Column C is cube, and column D, for lack of a better term, is my Zoom phone analytics here. So as an example, quick example here is I'm kind of wrapping just to showcase that you can have multiple platform in the same pane of glass. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to hammer home here. So kind of the best of both worlds. So if you're migrating from one platform to another and you have Verify support on those platforms, certainly we can showcase to you exactly, maybe the tapering off of one platform versus the influx of the newer platform within your environment, kind of help you kind of with that kind of migration model of reporting that you may need during the interim, and as well as obviously future progressively moving forward. Also, I do know I'm running out of time. From the verify.com website, I do want to make mention, though, underneath the support section under knowledge base are going to be definitely all the knowledge base articles and stuff like that, as always. But underneath the Zoom reporting platform are going to be the report templates. So these are going to be a stock of 10 standard, if you will, canned reports that you can load into the application. And these are they. So there's going to be no traditional 911 stuff, abandoned calls, call queues, your detail by extension or phone number stuff. Pretty much some of the same basic reports that we've been kind of working on and kind of providing to the clientele and the customer base for some time. So definitely please feel free to download these and import them. If you need our assistance with that, we'd be more than willing to. These knowledge base articles, as well as this being the master page on all 10 of them, you can drill into any one of these KB articles on that report and see if there are optional changes or required changes that are needed, or even if you need to take a look at what a sample could look like from that report. Now, here's an example of a called queue usage report where we're listing out for this one right here for this Zoom account. But once again, leaderboard kind of sorting and kind of styling this report here. So we can see exactly the top call queues that are being used within the environment over maybe a monthly time frame, a weekly time frame, a quarterly time frame. Definitely have all the automated frequency deliverables on those reports, and all the summarized metrics that you're going to need. So their answer counts or percentages. Same with abandonment and voicemail and stuff like that. We're very easily going to be able to read that, break down period over period pretty swiftly for you, and data tables as well as graphical representation as well. So just to piggyback off of that, just want to make sure that everyone was aware of that, and those are easily attainable on the verify.com website. Now, Dre, I'm getting a little parched here at the moment. Might there be any questions out there for me?
We have one question, and I was going to try and answer it to them, but I'm not sure if I understand the question. But the question is, can a customer with site admin access only pull all reports? And I believe site admin is something to do within Zoom administration.
Correct. Yeah, what that
Okay.
sounds like to me is it sounds like org-based kind of access to the data. So within Verify, we've always had that. So underneath user accounts and groups, if I were to provision a user and or group, most certainly I can set them to be restricted to only report on content that they're allowed to. And we can govern that within Verify as well. So whether or not there's once it slowly loads up here, once I don't know, I'll build a brand new one. Let me zoom in. So now whether or not we're leaning on, let me just jump down here, whether or not, come on Zoom, here we go. So whether or not we are leaning on, I guess, the org hierarchy from the platform source that we're communicating with, let's go with it. No, let's not do admin, let's do reporting, some of that. Restricted data visibility is what I'm trying to get to here. So whether or not we can use the sources kind of organizational hierarchy, for instance, if we had, I'll take that shipping department from earlier. So if we have a user manager that's part of that, we can certainly say, view own department, and then they can run and build reports and dashboard widgets on content for that shipping department. Or if the organizational hierarchy isn't that well maintained in the source, certainly within Verify, we can build out things that would be of the restrictive nature, so we can lock it down to that one site or that one org or that handful of DNs or users that you only want that person to be able to run content on. Long-winded answer saying yes, we have that baked into the application in 2 variations. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, I think it threw me off because I thought maybe site admin was just like a Zoom term, but I think maybe overall it was more a question if just for like a site for within Verify reporting.
Which it really is, yeah, because the sites is so I'm sure they probably have multiple sites, so they have multiple managers that are responsible for maintaining that content. So certainly whether or not we can get away with one of these toggles for that person, or be very specific on everything falling underneath site XYZ this person has access to. Can do both, yeah.
Got it.
Good question,
Totally
though.
makes sense. Totally makes sense.
What else do we have?
I
Anyone
think
else?
that's it. I think that's all the questions we had.
Okay. All right. Everyone's let me off easy today, but I will thank you for that, as I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. But all right. So,
Great job. Good job, Matt.
well,
Look,
thank you. Do I need
widgets looked
to?
awesome out there.
Oh, thank you. I will go ahead and stop sharing then, my friend, and I'll let you grab the reins.
Yes, sir. All right. Once again, awesome job, Matt. And we answered everybody's questions, and now we're going to move on to what everybody's been waiting for, and that gift card winner. And the winner this week is Brian Payne. Congratulations, your account manager. We'll be reaching out to you shortly to get you that gift card.
Woohoo!
And don't forget, next week, we got John and Jim to show you how to alter our CUCM templates to meet your environmental needs. I want to thank everybody once again for taking the time, and Matt for doing an awesome job. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your week.
Take care, all. Thank you.